What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now, Back to the Past. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about The Crew. Now, man, I got a story to tell, okay? Because originally, like I like to do with all these games, whether they, we're just looking back, or if they're being killed off, just brutally, I like to try to play them. And I try to do that for almost every, if not every game that I cover on this channel, is let's play the game right now. Let's not go based off my memory 5 years ago. Let's play it now, and let's talk about it, as in this case, it's being not even sunsetted off, it's being brutally murdered, okay? Well, in the case of The Crew, I have a few things to say because I actually can't play this game. Now, I want to start off by showing you, I put my money where my mouth is. This version I bought because they were announcing this game was shut down. When they announced that, Ubisoft that is, when they announced that they were ending support of The Crew, I said, okay, it's time to get it. I actually owned, not rented, I talk a lot about my renting history. I actually bought this game back in the past, and man, I didn't connect with it. And we'll talk a little bit about that in this video, but I didn't connect. It's obviously become a franchise. It's become quite popular, but I didn't, get into it, and I ended up returning it, okay? So fast forward to now, Ubisoft says, hey, we're going to kill this thing off, and I said, okay, this was $5, and you could still get it. Now, the issue is, this means nothing. Unlike the other games, right? When Spec Ops The Line gets delisted, right? And online, second party, third party, whatever, resellers are selling the game. It was $10, then it gets delisted, now it's $60. In the case of The Crew, it's not actually the same thing, right? In the case of The Crew, this is an always online game. So when you take away it being listed on the store page, or when you take it away just in general, you take the whole game with you, okay? This disc, I'll open it for you. I mean, it's nice. I like the, let's see if I can, get it here. It's the same thing behind me, right? I like it. I like the cover. I like having the case, the background, actually. That looks pretty darn cool, okay? I like to have these, and I'm always going to have The Crew. The really sad thing, and I don't know actually if there's many other games that I have, I think to Knockout City, and I don't own that physically. This is one of the it could be the only game that I have where this has absolutely no value come March 31st. March 31st is the last day that the servers are online for this game, and once those servers are shut off, even though you can put in the disc, and the game is it can be a physical game, obviously it can also be digital, you can put it in, and guess what? You will not make it past the home screen because the servers are, it depends on the servers. If there's no servers, there's no game. This is that 2014, and actually it has been 10 years, right? 2014 always online type game. Now, why do I say, in the beginning of this video, so normally I would pop it in, I would tell you, okay, here's what it's like with only 2 weeks to go. Well, now I don't know this for sure. So I tried this, and I could not get past, you guessed it, the main menu. You would get to the main menu, it would do its synchronization. I recorded it. I recorded myself trying it for 20 minutes. I didn't record this part, but I tried to troubleshoot the issue in which it got into my NAT type, and I was like, okay, I'm not messing with this stupid stuff. Or I'm not going to go into my router and mess with the connection to enable it to find other people. We're not going to break things. And especially being technologically illiterate as I am, I'm not about to attempt that, right? So I was on their forums. I was trying to do these troubleshooting options. Nothing was working. So I can't say this for a fact, but I did tweet it. But I can't say this for a fact. I don't know if the game actually works now. Now, I was very confused. I was like, well, can you still, did they say that? Because I swore that they announced it, and I beat the date, and yeah, you go online March 31st. You should be able to play this game through March 31st. So you should still be able to play it for the next 20 days, at least when I'm recording this, 19 when you see it. So I don't know what the issue is, but I tried my darnest, and I went all the way up to actually submitting a ticket, right, for them to kind of investigate. But it's you know what? It's not worth it. So instead of me talking about how the game is currently, we're going to talk a little bit about how I thought of it, back in the day. And we're also going to teach a little bit of a lesson, as we tend to do, right, with these always online games. Well, let's start there. This is the issue with it, right? Now, I said it, a little bit earlier, but the disc, the case, everything, it loses all value once they take this game off. And it's tragic. We say it before. I'll say it again for the sake of this game in this video. This is a product that, yeah, I spent $5 on this, okay? Because I did it through the, Mercari and all that stuff. $5. But what about the people? And yeah, granted, it was 10 years old, okay? I don't doubt that. Obviously, it's a true statement, but I understand that, right? but you spent however much you spent on it. Don't forget, it's also, in a way, it's a live service game. It's always online, that's for sure, but it's a game that you can customize and you could buy stuff, and you can even, I believe, craft cars through apps on on other services back in the day. I don't know if you can still do it now, but this is a game that you're meant to buy it, and then you're meant to put more money into it in other ways. And so where I'm going with that, it's not even just the base price. You could have spent $60 on this. You could have spent $30 on a sale 5 months after. You could have spent $5 right now on it. It's however much you put into it. Plus, what about the people that put in extra money over time? And it's just gone. It's completely gone. You've wasted, truly, you've wasted your money. The disc has absolutely no value besides putting it in and allowing the screen to pop. In this case, PlayStation, you can see the screen. It'll make a noise or whatever. But clicking, you might as well not even click on it, right? That's sad. It's tragic. It's not right. Ubisoft has done this before, and other companies have as well. Ubisoft obviously is the punching bag for this video, but Knockout City only made it like a year and 9 months. Crash Team Rumble is ending, although the servers are technically still online. I mean, there's different games with different examples, right? I will give it to them that this game lasted 10 years. They just took down like Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood's multiplayer. I think they took that down around Christmas time. It's like, these games have lasted like 13 to 15 years, some of those multiplayer games. So, yeah, I get it. It's costly. It takes money. It costs money to keep these things online, but this is the pitfall of always online. You have an always online game. Eventually, it's going to be taken away from you. And the thing is, now, I don't remember hating it. I just remember not really connecting with it, right? And eventually spins off into the Crew 2. The Crew Motorfest, I think, is the new one, right? I think I played the Crew 2. Pretty sure I did. Very briefly. I didn't play the Crew Motorfest, but this I want to kind of go over now. Now we're moving on to the game itself. I do have a little story to tell. So racing is definitely not my genre. I've played Forza Horizon, I think 5. I believe that's the newest one. Pretty solid. I just can't get into them. My point is, there's only a few racing games I've ever been able to get into. We've talked about one of them, MotorStorm. Now I have some of the MotorStorm games on PS3. Oh, MotorStorm Apocalypse, just MotorStorm, phenomenal games. I also think, and I want this, I don't think I actually own it, but it's on my list. The Driver San Francisco, I'm pretty sure that's the name of it. When he's got like a concussion or whatever it is, and he can kind of jump into different cars around the city. Love the freaking idea. Okay, really incredible. So yeah, driving isn't my sweet spot, but I try them knowing I guess I'm not going to get into it. I think the Crew is a cool idea. And I'll be honest, there's a reason why I bought it back when it first came out, because the premise really sold me. Now, again, it didn't really connect, and ultimately, it came back to bite them. It's the reason why, the whole thing doesn't work. But the idea that everything is connected, I guess maybe even like Driver San Francisco, you think about it, like it's the whole city and everything's kind of moving in real time. But this is a game where, I guess not everybody, but there's a lot of realness to it. There's a lot of real drivers. I remember some of the first gameplay they showed, right? They'd be like racing down like a hillside, and there was another group of like 2, 3, 4 cars that was driving, doing something else, right? I think it was maybe E3. I remember that, and I just thought, this is the game. And I'm dead serious. I remember being so invested in the base premise of, it's all connected. You can be and I remember pitching it to my cousin, who's also not into cars, or he is into cars. He's not into racing. But I remember telling him, like, hey, we could be doing our own thing and, doing this own event, and then maybe our friends will be doing something else, and we could just randomly be in the same world, and you can just, like, drive on the street together, right? And then break off. And if you want to do something on the right, they want to do something on the left. It was a really cool premise. I saw it on Wikipedia, and I remember this too. 45 minutes to drive from coast to coast, right? There's no loading. Everything is seamless. Everything is in there. And I remember that 45 minutes thing, because I remember like the pitch for this game was, it's not the exact length it would take you to drive from X place to Y place, but it's more than what most games are. It's not going to take you 20 seconds. It might actually take you a couple minutes. And again, to drive from one end to the other is going to take you almost an hour. So I remember the idea just being really cool, but I also then remember like the tutorial and the opening, just the actual driving mechanics. I was like, nope. Like I bought it. I spent, like, my parents would buy me stuff for my birthday and for Christmas, and that's it, right? Like everything else was my response, which is, I think, fair, and I think that's the way maybe it should be. But I remember buying this game myself and popped it in, and I just remembered in the first 10, 20 minutes saying, well, this was a mistake. It was, because the idea could get me through a little of it, and it was still there. And granted, I know people like this game. I've seen it online. This game does have a following. Maybe not The Crew 1, but The Crew in general, there's a reason why it's continued. And again, like, I think it is a cool mechanic. You think of, well, I don't want to say like these live service are always online, but I guess you do, right? You think about these like always connected kind of things, and it's normally different genres, right? Or even you think about even what maybe Street Fighter has done with their last game, where there's like the arcade room and everybody's in it, and you can just kind of walk up to people, right, and play. It's a very, I guess, weird example, but it's this kind of thing where it's connecting, right? It's a connection-like thing. And like to put it in cars, now I don't know if this was the first game to do that, but I think it was a really, really cool idea, even though the always online thing ultimately, and the idea that everything is connected and people are going to populate and there's going to be these random events and there's going to be leaderboards and you're going to try to beat people and then they'll beat you. It is deep, but ultimately it is the reason why this game, once they take it down, there's no game, right? Once you take the servers down, there isn't a game after it because it's all dependent on that. So I don't know. It's an example of, I think, a really cool product that didn't click for me, and that's okay. A lot of the videos and a lot of the games we talk about on this channel, they do normally click with me. Otherwise, there's not a big interest. I think for something like this, the reason why I wanted to make the video, a couple of reasons. I do think it was a really cool idea. I remember the lead up. I remember being psyched, and I remember, besides Driver San Francisco, this was like the racing game that I was or car game that I was like the most invested in going in, and was willing to give the most the biggest chance to. And then also it's a good, I think, lesson in game preservation that, again, I'm happy to have it like in my collection. It'll always be there in my PS4 collection, but again, like I think to knock out, I'm trying to think like what are the other, like you think to Dead Space 2, I know that multiplayer's dead, Assassin's Creed, Bad Company 2, actually all the Bad Company games. So there's actually a lot of games where the multiplayer has been killed. Maybe like a Friday the 13th. See, I don't have Friday the 13th physically. This might be truly the only physical game of like I'm trying to look, PS4, Xbox One, and onward. It's the only game I think I might own where it's so dependent that once the servers are gone, that it's gone. It might actually be the only. Well, there has been other one. Knockout City is definitely one that comes to mind recently, just last year, right? Where that hurt because that game didn't even last long. I didn't have it physically, I had it digitally, and that hurts even more because then it's just complete. I can't even look at it. I can't even look at the box for Knockout City because I don't have the box, right? So let me know what you guys think. Maybe you guys played The Crew back in the day. Again, I wanted it. Like I was preparing for it. I stopped playing Final Fantasy, and I knew for like a full day I wanted to just play this game, and I didn't even get the freaking chance to. It was disappointing. I was pretty mad. Not like overly, but I got upset where it's like, dang it, I bought it. I wanted to give it just a good 1 day's worth of play, a couple hours, 2, 3, 4 hours before they took it offline. And again, maybe it was just me, but I mean, I tried for a very long time, longer than I want, and I don't know. I feel like it's just gone, even though March 31st is the day. Maybe I'll try it again in the next week or two, but what's the point anymore, right? Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I'll see you all on the next one.